So yeah, even though the Travers was a little bit of a snooze from a competition standpoint, obviously not a snooze from the winner's performance, but there were a lot more competitive races earlier on Travers Day, and I think the one that takes the cake is the personal Ensign, where Thorpedo and Anna and Darth Vader just threw down nose to nose throughout the stretch, and to me that's the favorite right now for race of the year. If we end up voting on one, like it was thrilling. The head bob finish, Thorpedo Anna just gets the nose down. And, she's awesome. She's a 12 for 15 now lifetime, has earned over $5.5 million on the track. She's only been out of the Exacto once, and that was the race in the La Troyenne. So I don't want to be a downer. And it was a phenomenal race. But I stick by what I said, that she's not the same horse that she was as a 3-year-old, because the 3-year-old Thorpedo Anna, who ran fierceness to a head in the Travers when running a 111 buyer, would have laughed in the face of a horse like Darth Vader. And like, no disrespect to her, she won the grade 1. This is a horse who's running buyer figures in the 94 level the last 2 races, and she obviously is a nice horse to actually go toe to toe with a horse of quality of Thorpedo Anna and not back down. But I stand by, if you ran Darth Vader against Thorpedo Anna as a 3-year-old filly, she wins by 5+ lengths. So I think both things can be true. It's a phenomenal horse race, and really the kind of race that you are praying and hoping for on a big Saturday like Travers Day. She's a remarkable filly who's now run 15 times going back to October of 2023 and has won 12 of those times. But this is a race that would have been I think a laugher for her last year, John.
Yeah, and again, I know we sound like a broken record, Joe, about is she the same filly she was as a 3-year-old, or are they slowly winding her up, to get these last couple of big races under her belt and get her to the level that she needs to be? I've seen it, Joe, with too many of our fillies. I've seen it happen too many times that the difference between the 3-year-old and 4-year-old year is the biggest leap that a horse has to make. And sometimes, especially fillies, they just don't have it in them anymore. And it's a credit to Thorpedo Anna to be winning the races that she's doing. And obviously, she and in this race, Darth Vader, class of the field. I mean, they were up, by many, 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 many lengths compared to the 3rd place horse, Leslie's Rose. And it wasn't even, thought about as far as anybody other than those two as they battled down the stretch and did what they did. It's Thorpedo Anna's 7th grade 1. 7th grade 1.
He's a Hall of Famer.
First ballot Hall of Famer. Derek Jeter-esque, as far as I'm concerned. She's going to be there. But is she as good as she was last year? I don't think so. I think the metrics show that she's not. I thought it was interesting also that, immediately after the race, they asked Kenny McPeak, what are you going to do? Are you going to run in the Classic or have another option? And his initial reaction, I think, was very telling, which is, no, we're not going to run in the Classic. And then he backed up and said, not that we're scared of anybody, but I just don't think that that's the right thing to do for her right now. So I think like he kind of showed his card that he's saying what we're saying, but he can't say it outwardly like we are. That being said, I don't want to see Thorpedo Anna, in the Keeneland race in the Spinster that we're going to run nitrogen in, because quite frankly, she's the horse to beat. I mean, until proven otherwise, Thorpedo Anna is still, as you mentioned, 15 starts, 12 wins, 7 grade 1s, and noting that she ran like a 93 buyer when she won this race. She ran a 100 buyer, and Brian Hernandez, to his credit, if you watch just her in the race, it almost looks like he's pretending that there's nobody else in the race. And that's the way you're supposed to ride a 3-to-5 shot, 2-to-5 shot, is keep her on the outside. Don't let her get it bottled up and any kind of trouble whatsoever. And then, release the hounds and let her go down the stretch. I think what surprised me is that Darth Vader flanked behind Thorpedo Anna for much of the race and almost slingshot around her going down the stretch. But it played out kind of the way that you anticipated. Actually, the whole card played out the way you anticipated. It was a chalk fest.
Chalk.
For the whole thing. And again, a lot of people walked away. Like if you're betting, a lot of people were like, well, screw it. There was nobody other than chalk, and that's the worst thing that can happen. But I think from a storyline standpoint, the best horses won each race.
Totally.
Whether it was the personal Ensign, whether it was Patch Adams in the Jerkins, who, by the way, Joe, Patch Adams in the Jerkins ran faster than the winner of the Ballerina and also the winner of the Forego. Same distance, 7/8 of a mile, not the easiest distance to run in. But Patch Adams, stuck to the rail, had a dream trip on the rail. I think Sayas did a phenomenal job, just navigating that horse to a 103 buyer. And they finished almost a full second faster, 4/5 of a second faster than the Forego, than the older horses did.
Yeah. I mean, I thought, to me, that was more of an indictment of the Forego field, because that was a great looking field on paper. And just nobody lifted a foot, it felt like, other than Bookham Danno. Like, I just kind of feel like he won that race by default. He got a 98 buyer, which was a 13-point regression from his 111 in the Alfred Vanderbilt. And I was stunned that, like, there was nobody coming to get him. He is obviously clearly the easy favorite for champion sprinter. But I found it interesting that that Derek Ryan, the trainer, said that he's not guaranteed to go to the Breeders' Cup.
Right.
He might run him in the Vosburg or the Phoenix, and then, maybe something else, but it sounds like he doesn't want to ship him all the way across the country to run in the Breeders' Cup, because he's thinking about running him next year as a 5-year-old rather, and he's focused on getting to the Breeders' Cup Sprint in 2025. I don't know, maybe the horse is a bad shipper or something. He clearly loves Saratoga, but I found that interesting, John. And they got a fees paid berth now. I mean, in this case, it's for the mile, not the sprint, but he's, he would be, 6-5, 7-5 in a sprint right now?
You would think so. And look, there's a lot of time between now and then. And I'm sure that they have a lot of time to talk about it and get an idea. And look, the horse owes them nothing. I mean, it's a small group that owns them. They've done a wonderful job of campaigning them. They've done a really good job of marketing the horse. I think, Derek Ryan isn't the kind of guy that's going to command a lot of microphones in front of him. He's just a good hard-nosed trainer. He was an exercise rider that came up the ranks. And he has said it before in previous interviews that if it wasn't for this horse, he wouldn't be training anymore. I mean, that's how close he came to being out of the business. And then all of a sudden, this horse comes along and dances almost every dance. Maybe the Cigar Mile, just didn't break, and you give him a little bit of a pass, but has won all 3 of the graded dirt stakes, the True North, the Vanderbilt, and now this race. And look, the other thing I'm going to say, Joe, and it may surprise you a little bit, because I am not a fan of what Paco Lopez has done in the past on horses, but you got to tell me if there's a better rider for this horse than Paco, because he has done absolutely everything perfect on this horse.
I mean, he fits him great. It helps when the horse has the kind of tactical speed that Bookham Danno has, where you can put him anywhere in the race, and he'll pretty much produce his top effort. But yeah, he fits him well in that, in the same way that Bookham Danno, I think, is a pretty patient horse. Paco's a pretty patient rider. You don't see him hustling and getting out over his skis all that often. Sometimes he's a little too casual, I think, is his issue. But yeah, I think he's clearly, he and this horse have a good bond, and he's going to be riding the horse for the rest of his career, barring injury. So that was, we did him on Epic Performance back when Sam was on the show. You just love to see the New Jersey breds and the smaller connections have this kind of dream horse, and a horse by Bucaro, who's like not a mainstream sire by any stretch of the imagination, but out of a Ghost Sapper mare. Love those Ghost Sapper mares. So shout out to the connections of Bookham Danno and of Thorpedo Anna. Like, I don't want to be seen as a hater here. Like, she's obviously a superstar filly. I just think, in being fair, you got to analyze that she is kind of the best of a bad division right now, and it makes me sad that Idiomatic got hurt before last year's Breeders' Cup Distaff, because she was the peer. Yeah, she was the only peer for Thorpedo Anna at that level, and it was a bummer that we never get to see him go face to face. But I don't know, might see her and Nitrogen go face to face. That could be a real appointment viewing matchup down at Keeneland. I kind of missed having the sword dancer on Saturday, just because to break up all the dirt racing. Right. I like having like a big grade 1 turf race in there. But other than that, you hit the nail on the head, John. Like, from a handicapping, from a better standpoint, it was not a great card. But from a fan standpoint, from a superstars producing at the biggest stages standpoint, it's a phenomenal, incredible day of racing.